helpless dog chained to the tracks, a speeding train just seconds away, and a terrified child running with all his might. Who did this? Why is no one stopping it? But this is more than just a moment of terror. It's a deep, dark secret waiting to be uncovered. As the clock ticks down, one question remains. Will this story end in tragedy or in an unexpected twist that no one saw coming? Stay with us because this is just the beginning of an unforgettable journey. The midday sun shone brightly over the quiet countryside, casting long shadows through the swaying trees. The rhythmic chirping of crickets and the rustling of leaves filled the air. The world felt peaceful until a sudden whimper shattered the silence. Little Oliver, no older than 5, paused mid-step on the gravel road beside the railway tracks. His blonde curls bounced as he turned his head toward the faint sound. His tiny hands clutched a small stuffed bear, worn and tattered from years of love. Another whimper. His eyes darted to the tracks, and his heart clenched. A German shepherd lay sprawled on the hot steel rails, its massive body bound in thick, rusted chains. Its chest rose and fell with labored breaths, its golden brown eyes filled with fear and pain. It tried to move, but the chains dug into its fur, tightening around its powerful frame. The dog was trapped. Oliver's breath hitched. He knew what train tracks meant. He had seen trains before. Fast, loud, unstoppable. If one came now, the dog let out another weak whimper, its ears twitching slightly. It locked eyes with the little boy, silently pleading for help. Oliver didn't hesitate. He dropped his stuffed bear and rushed forward, his small hands grabbing at the thick, rusted chains. He pulled with all his might, gritting his teeth, but they wouldn't budge. "Don't worry," he whispered. "I'll get you out." The German shepherd let out a soft, grateful huff, its tail weakly thumping against the gravel. Oliver tugged harder. His fingers burned against the rusted metal, his arms aching. He planted his tiny sneakers against the ground and pulled. Nothing. Then in the distance, a deep, echoing horn. Oliver's eyes widened. The rails beneath his feet trembled. A train. Tears welled in his big blue eyes, but he refused to stop. He couldn't stop. The dog whined, its powerful muscles straining against the chains. It could feel the danger. It tried to move, to crawl away, but the iron links only tightened. "Help!" Oliver screamed at the empty countryside. "Somebody, please help!" The train's roar grew louder. Dust kicked up from the vibrating tracks. Oliver's little hands moved faster, desperately fumbling with the tangled metal. His mind screamed for him to run, to leave, but his heart wouldn't let him. Then, a pair of strong hands grabbed his shoulders and pulled him back. Oliver screamed in protest, kicking wildly. "No, let me go! Hold still!" a deep voice commanded. Oliver barely had time to process before the hands left him and moved to the dog's chains. A man, dressed in worn jeans and a faded flannel, his face shadowed beneath a cap, his hands moving fast. The dog let out a growl, not of fear, but of determination. It strained against the chains one last time as the man yanked hard. Snap! The chains loosened. The dog leaped forward, free at last. The man grabbed Oliver, swinging him into his arms as the train thundered past, missing them by mere inches. For a long moment, everything was dust and noise. Then silence. The dog was panting, its large body trembling from exhaustion, but its eyes shone with relief. It padded forward and licked Oliver's face, its tail wagging weakly. Oliver let out a shaky giggle, hugging the dog's neck. "You're okay now," he whispered. The man dusted off his hands. That was too close. He knelt beside them, ruffling the dog's fur. "Poor thing. Who could have done this?" Oliver looked up at him. "You saved us." The man smiled, but something about him felt different. Before Oliver could ask his name, the dog let out a deep bark. It turned suddenly, ears perked, sniffing the air. Then, without warning, it took off running. "Wait!" Oliver shouted, scrambling to his feet. The dog bolted down the tracks, its strong legs carrying it fast. It wasn't just running, it was chasing something. Oliver turned to the man, but he was gone, vanished. The boy's heart pounded, confusion swirling in his little head. The dust had barely settled, yet there was no trace of the man who had saved them. But there was no time to think about that now. Oliver clenched his fists. I have to follow him. The shepherd was running for a reason, and Oliver was going to find out why. Oliver's heart pounded as he watched the German shepherd disappear down the tracks, its powerful legs kicking up dust. The dog wasn't just running, it was chasing something. Without thinking, Oliver took off after it, his tiny legs stumbling over the gravel. His sneakers skidded on the loose stones, but he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. The stranger who had saved them was gone, vanished as if he had never been there at all. But the dog was real, and it was running with purpose. Wait! Come back! Oliver shouted, his voice barely louder than his own breathless gasps. But the shepherd didn't slow. It was following a scent, something important. The tracks stretched into the distance, cutting through the thick forest ahead. The midday sun barely touched the ground beneath the canopy of ancient trees. Shadows twisted across the path, cool and eerie. The dog bolted past an old rusted sign beside the tracks. It was tilted, barely readable. Oliver slowed down just enough to glance at the letters. Danger. Restricted area. Do not enter. Oliver gulped. He had never seen this part of town before. His parents always warned him to never wander near the old forest. But the shepherd didn't care. It darted straight through a broken fence, disappearing into the trees. Oliver hesitated for only a second. Then, gripping the straps of his tiny backpack, he ducked through the same opening. His breath was ragged as he ran through the undergrowth. The air smelled damp, filled with the scent of moss and earth. Birds fluttered overhead, their wings rustling like whispers in the wind. Then, a bark. Sharp. Urgent. Oliver skidded to a stop. The dog stood in a small clearing up ahead, its body stiff, ears perked. It let out a low growl, its tail high. Something was wrong. Oliver stepped closer, his heart hammering. And then he saw it. A black van, its tires sunken slightly into the dirt. Its doors were open, revealing a dark interior. A metal cage sat inside, its door swinging loose. Oliver shivered. A cage big enough for a dog. The shepherd growled again, stepping forward, sniffing the ground. This was where it had been taken. Someone had chained it to those tracks. Someone had wanted it gone. But why? Oliver's small fist clenched. He looked around, scanning the trees. Whoever had done this could still be here. The dog suddenly whipped its head toward the van's front seat. Its body tensed. Oliver followed its gaze. The driver's door was still open, and something was sitting on the seat. Oliver swallowed hard and stepped closer. It was a notebook. He hesitated, glancing at the trees one last time before reaching out with trembling fingers. The pages were slightly damp, the cover scratched and worn. Slowly he flipped it open, and his blood ran cold. Inside, dozens of pictures were taped to the pages. Photos of animals, dogs, cats, even horses. Some were scribbled over, some had red X's across them. Oliver turned another page, and his breath caught in his throat. There, among the photos, was a picture of the German shepherd. A big red X was drawn across its face. The dog let out a low whimper, nudging Oliver's hand. They had tried to get rid of it. Someone had wanted it dead. But why? Oliver's tiny hands tightened around the notebook. He could feel his heart thumping wildly in his chest. Something terrible was happening, and it wasn't just about the dog, because when he turned the next page, his own town was there, a map, with red circles drawn around different places. And then, near the bottom of the page, Oliver felt his breath hitch, because there, written in messy, hurried letters, was something that made his blood turn to ice. Phase 1 complete. Next target, April 17th, 2 p.m. Oliver froze. April 17th. That was tomorrow. Oliver's fingers trembled as he clutched the notebook. His mind raced. April 17th, 2 p.m., tomorrow. Something was going to happen, something bad. The German shepherd let out a soft whimper, nudging Oliver's hand as if urging him to move. The rustling of leaves in the distance sent a shiver up his spine. They weren't alone. Oliver snapped his head up, his breath hitching. A shadow moved between the trees. Then, Crack! A branch snapped. Someone was coming. The dog growled low, its body tense. It turned toward the sound, ears pinned forward. Oliver's chest tightened. His instinct screamed, "Run!" But where? He glanced back at the notebook, then at the black van. He had just uncovered something huge, something bigger than just a dog on the tracks. And now, they knew he had it. They were coming for him. A second rustling noise, closer this time. Oliver spun around. He had to go. His heart pounding, he bolted toward the broken fence, gripping the notebook tight. Gravel crunched beneath his sneakers as he ran. The dog followed, staying close, its breath loud in the quiet forest. But then, a deep voice rang out. "Stop!" Oliver's legs nearly buckled. His pulse spiked. Someone was right behind them. "Kid, drop it!" The voice was sharp, angry. "That notebook isn't yours!" Oliver didn't look back. He couldn't. He heard fast, heavy footsteps pounding the dirt. Someone was chasing them. His lungs burned, but he pushed harder. The shepherd ran beside him, matching his pace. "The fence! Just a few feet away! If they could just—" A hand grabbed at his backpack. Oliver shrieked and twisted, wrenching free. The dog lunged. A snarl ripped through the air as the shepherd snapped at the figure behind them. A loud curse followed as their pursuer stumbled back. That was their chance. Oliver leaped through the fence's gap, landing hard on the other side. He scrambled up and sprinted toward town. "Get back here, you little—" The voice cut off as the dog followed, ducking through the hole just before a deafening bang rang out. A gunshot. Oliver screamed. The shepherd yelped, but kept running unharmed. They had to get to safety. He ran faster than he ever had before. By the time Oliver burst onto the quiet streets of his town, his legs were jelly. His lungs burned. He spun around. No one was behind them. They had lost the man in the trees. For now. The German shepherd panted beside him, its eyes locked onto his. Oliver clutched the notebook. What now? His first thought was to go home, tell his parents. But what would he even say? That some mystery group had chained a dog to train tracks and was planning something big tomorrow? Would they even believe him? Number. Not without proof. He needed help. Real help. And there was only one person in town who might listen. Officer Grayson. The old police officer had always been nice to Oliver. He had a German shepherd of his own, just like this one. And he always told Oliver, "If you ever see something wrong, you tell me first." This was definitely wrong. Oliver turned to the dog, his voice shaking. "Come on, we have to go to the police station." The dog wagged its tail once and trotted after him. But as Oliver rushed down the sidewalk, gripping the notebook, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still watching. That this wasn't over, that they would come for him again, and next time, they wouldn't miss. Oliver's legs ached as he sprinted through the quiet streets, the German shepherd at his side. The sky was starting to darken, the sun sinking behind the buildings. The police station wasn't far, just a few more blocks. Then, a black SUV screeched around the corner ahead. Oliver's heart stopped. The headlights flashed on, blinding him for a second. The shepherd let out a sharp bark, stepping in front of him protectively. The SUV sped toward them. They were coming. Oliver turned and ran into an alley. The dog followed, its breath loud and heavy. Oliver's chest burned, his pulse hammering. His mind screamed, "Where do I go?" Footsteps pounded behind him. Men were chasing them. Oliver darted around a dumpster, trying to lose them. Then, screech! Another vehicle blocked the other end of the alley. Trapped. Oliver spun around, his back hitting the brick wall. The shepherd growled, its fur bristling. 3 men stepped out of the SUV, their faces obscured by masks. One of them, the tallest, cracked his knuckles. "Give us the notebook, kid." His voice was cold. "And we'll let you walk away." Oliver gripped the notebook tighter. His mind raced. If they get this, I'll never know what's happening. The shepherd took a step forward, baring its teeth. One of the masked men pulled out a taser. "Back off, mutt." The shepherd didn't move. Oliver had seconds to act. He took a deep breath. "Think, Oliver. Think." The alley was narrow. There was a fire escape to his left, but it was too high to reach. Then he saw it. A stack of old wooden crates. An opening. Oliver moved fast. He sprinted toward the crates and jumped. His fingers barely caught the bottom rung of the fire escape. A man lunged for him. Too slow. The shepherd charged. The dog leapt at the taser-wielding man, snapping at his arm. The man cursed and stumbled back, dropping the weapon. "Get that dog!" the leader snarled. Oliver scrambled up the ladder. His arms burned, but he pulled himself onto the metal stairs. Below, the dog dodged another grab, growling fiercely. "Come on, boy!" Oliver yelled. The shepherd heard him and leapt. For a second, Oliver's breath caught. Then the dog landed on the lowest step of the fire escape. He made it, but the masked men were already grabbing for the ladder, trying to pull it down. Oliver didn't hesitate. He kicked at the rusty latch holding the ladder up. With a clang, it detached and slammed into the men below. They shouted in pain, staggering back. Oliver didn't wait to see what happened next. He grabbed the shepherd and ran across the rooftops. Oliver and the dog climbed down the other side of the building, slipping into another street. His heart was racing. They had almost caught him. They weren't just some random guys. They were organized, armed, dangerous, and worst of all, they knew who he was now. Oliver looked down at the notebook. The words swam before his eyes. April the 17th, 2 p.m. tomorrow. Something was going to happen, and he was the only one who could stop it. The rooftops had fallen silent, the night air cold against Oliver's skin as he and the German shepherd crept down the back stairwell of an abandoned hardware store. His fingers still clutched the worn notebook, knuckles white with tension. Every shadow now felt like it was watching. They had almost been caught. Again. The ambush had proved one thing. Whoever was behind this wasn't bluffing, and they weren't just after a dog. They were hiding something big. Oliver reached the street below and took a winding path toward the police station, sticking to alleyways and back streets. The shepherd stayed close, glancing behind them every few seconds. Just a few more blocks. Then Officer Grayson, then answers, but as they neared the edge of the park by the station, something caught Oliver's eye. A figure, standing completely still, watching. He ducked behind a bush. The shepherd froze beside him. The figure stepped into the glow of a nearby street lamp. Oliver's heart plummeted. It was his neighbor, Mr. Doyle, the quiet man who ran the antique store, the same man who smiled at Oliver every morning, and he was wearing the same black coat as the men in the alley. A face he trusted, a secret revealed. Oliver watched, frozen. Mr. Doyle took out a phone and made a call. His voice carried through the quiet night. "The kid still has it, and he's headed toward Grayson." Oliver's chest tightened. "Number. He doesn't know the dog's real value yet. We still have time before tomorrow's transport." "Transport? What transport?" Oliver crouched lower, his mind spinning. Mr. Doyle's voice grew quieter. Then he turned and looked directly at the bush Oliver was hiding behind. "Come on out, Oliver." Oliver's blood went cold. The shepherd growled low, muscles tense. Mr. Doyle took a slow step forward, holding his hands out. "It's not what you think. The dog, you don't know what you found." Oliver stood up, fists clenched. "What is he?" Mr. Doyle glanced at the dog and then back at Oliver. His face was unreadable. "That German shepherd isn't just a dog. He's evidence. He saw something he wasn't supposed to. He's the only living witness. And if you don't hand him over, more people could get hurt." Oliver took a step back. "You're lying." But Doyle shook his head. "Ask Grayson if you don't believe me. But don't let anyone else see that notebook, especially not tonight." Before Oliver could speak, headlights turned the corner. A police cruiser. Grayson's car. Doyle's eyes narrowed. "Whatever you do, don't show him the last page." He vanished into the shadows. Oliver stood frozen as Officer Grayson stepped out of the car, calling, "Oliver, is that you?" The shepherd barked once, but softly, unsure. Oliver looked down at the notebook. His thumb slid over the cover. Slowly, he turned to the last page. It was different, written in rushed handwriting. "The cop knows. Trust no one." J.D. Oliver's heart dropped. Grayson approached. "What's going on? Why are you out here?" The dog didn't move. Neither did Oliver, because now he had to decide, trust the officer or run again. The notebook trembled in Oliver's hand as Officer Grayson approached. The last words still burned into his brain. The cop knows. Trust no one. J.D. His instincts screamed to run, but so did his exhaustion. Grayson slowed as he saw the look on Oliver's face. You okay, kid? You look like you've seen a ghost. The German shepherd didn't bark this time. He just stared at Grayson, ears pinned back slightly, uncertain. I need to talk to you, Oliver said cautiously. Somewhere safe. Grayson nodded. Come with me. I've got a place, off the books. Oliver hesitated, then followed. They drove in silence, not to the police station. Instead, Grayson took Oliver and the dog to an old cabin deep in the woods. He claimed it was his late grandfather's place. Off the grid, no one tracks you here. Inside, there were no pictures, no personal items, just canned food, old furniture, and a wood stove. Too clean, too staged. Grayson sat down, motioning toward Oliver. Now talk. Oliver didn't sit. He watched the man carefully. What's going on? He asked. Why are people after this dog? Grayson sighed. Because he saw something. He belonged to a handler who went undercover. That handler was killed. The dog escaped. He's the only one who knows who pulled the trigger. You mean someone's trying to silence a dog? Yes, Grayson said without a hint of sarcasm. That's how deep this goes. Oliver bit his lip. Then explain this. He opened the notebook to the final page and slid it across the table. Who's J.D.? Grayson's expression didn't flicker. Where did you see this? Just now, Oliver said. From someone I thought I trusted. Grayson stood up slowly. You need to forget you ever saw that. The air in the room shifted. Oliver stepped back. The German shepherd stood between them. Who's J.D.? Oliver asked again. You knew him. Grayson didn't answer. He reached for the radio clipped to his belt. The dog reacted first. With a bark and a leap, he tackled Grayson's arm before it could reach the button. Oliver's eyes went wide. He's not a cop anymore, is he? Grayson shoved the dog off and grabbed a tranquilizer gun from behind a cabinet. I didn't want it to come to this. Oliver's stomach dropped. You're with them. No, Grayson said, aiming. They're with me. The trigger clicked, but nothing fired. Grayson looked down at the gun. Jammed. The dog lunged again. Grayson tried to fight him off, but the shepherd knocked him backward into a shelf. Glass shattered. Oliver grabbed the notebook and bolted out the door. He didn't stop until the woods swallowed him again. He ran for hours, heart pounding, never looking back. When he finally stopped, it was near the train tracks, where this all began. The dog limped slightly but stayed at his side. Oliver opened the notebook again. The pages fluttered in the breeze. Then, tucked behind the back cover, he found something new. A photograph of a man in a military uniform, with the same German shepherd beside him. On the back, a name, J.D., Captain Jacob Doyle. Oliver gasped. Mr. Doyle, the antique shop owner. He wasn't a villain. He was the original handler, and he might be the only one left who could help. The wind howled through the trees as Oliver trudged down the train tracks, the photograph clenched in his hand. The German shepherd walked beside him, limping but unwavering, his golden eyes sharp and alert. The name on the back of the photo echoed in Oliver's mind. J.D., Captain Jacob Doyle. The same man Grayson warned him not to trust. The same man Mr. Doyle, his neighbor, had pretended not to be. Why'd you hide who you are? Oliver whispered to the photo, his breath visible in the early morning chill. Why disappear if you were trying to help? The shepherd let out a soft whine, as if sensing Oliver's storm of questions. Oliver didn't have answers, only a growing sense that everything he thought he knew was unraveling. With the help of an old train map he found tucked inside the notebook, Oliver followed the trail deep into the woods outside town. The map marked a location in red ink. One word scribbled beneath it, safe house. After hours of hiking and hiding from passing vehicles, he found it, an isolated cabin half sunken into the earth, covered in moss and shadows. The shepherd growled softly, not out of fear, out of recognition. Oliver's heart pounded. He stepped up and knocked on the wooden door. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. Just as he turned to leave, a shotgun clicked behind him. "Move and I drop you where you stand." Oliver froze. "I have your photo," he shouted without turning. "I found the dog. He led me here." Silence. Then the voice behind him softened. Just a little. "Turn around, slowly." Oliver turned. The man before him was older than in the photo, with a heavy beard, scars down his cheek, and eyes that had seen too much. But it was him. Captain Jacob Doyle. He lowered the shotgun, eyes locking on the dog. "Rex," he whispered. The German shepherd barked once. Captain Doyle dropped to one knee. Rex bounded into his arms, tail wagging and tears forming in the man's eyes. "You're alive," Doyle choked out. "You came back." Inside the cabin, by a flickering fire, Doyle listened as Oliver told him everything. The alley ambush, the notebook, the betrayal by Officer Grayson, and the cryptic message on the last page. Doyle's expression hardened. "Grayson's not just a dirty cop," he said. "He runs a network, military-grade tech, surveillance, even illegal dog fighting for profit. I went undercover to expose it." Oliver's stomach turned. "You mean Rex saw something?" Doyle nodded. "Rex was trained for advanced ops. One night we recorded a deal going down. Grayson's crew caught us. I barely escaped. Thought Rex was gone. But someone saved him," Oliver said. "Someone patched him up and set him loose." "Then you found him," Doyle said with a faint smile. "He trusts you." Oliver glanced down at Rex, now curled beside the fire. "He saved me more than once." Doyle stood. "If Grayson knows you're alive and that Rex is here, he'll come, and he won't come alone." Oliver felt fear creep up his spine. "What do we do?" "We fight back," Doyle said. "But it's just us," Oliver said. "You, me, and a dog." "No," Doyle said. He reached into a locked crate and pulled out a battered military radio. "It's us, and the people Grayson thought he buried." Static buzzed through the air as Doyle made the call. One by one, voices crackled through. Old teammates, whistleblowers, veterans in hiding. They weren't dead. They were waiting. By sunrise, a plan was forming. Grayson's transport was scheduled for that night. The same illegal operation that had gotten Doyle nearly killed. And this time, Oliver, Doyle, and Rex would be there, with reinforcements. Night fell heavy over the abandoned industrial yard on the edge of town. A place long forgotten by the public, but thriving with shadows. Hidden beneath the rusted silos and shattered windows, something wicked moved. Grayson's convoy, 3 armored trucks, 2 SUVs, armed guards, and a secret cargo chained beneath tarps. But this time, they weren't alone. The hunters become the hunted. From the tree line, Oliver adjusted the earpiece Doyle gave him. His hands trembled, but his heart was steel. Beside him, Rex, calm and focused, scanned the perimeter. The once wounded German shepherd now wore a custom harness, lightweight armor, a GPS tracker, and a camera feeding live footage to their allies. Captain Doyle crouched low, watching the convoy through binoculars. "Once the last crate's loaded, they'll move. That's our window." Oliver whispered, "What's in the crate?" Doyle hesitated. "Proof, years of data, recorded deals, names. And if we don't get it, they burn everything, and we disappear." Oliver nodded. "Then we don't fail." A low chirp in the earpiece. "Echo team in position." Another voice. "Eyes on target. No hostiles near the rear truck." Doyle gave the signal. "Move." Oliver and Rex bolted through the shadows, weaving between crates. Rex leapt over a fence with practiced grace. Oliver rolled beneath a rail line, heart hammering. Rex reached the rear of the convoy and began scratching at the lockbox on the last truck. Inside, the crate. Oliver yanked the door and it creaked. Too loud. One of the guards turned. "Hey, what the—" Pop! A dart from the tree line dropped him before he could raise the alarm. But now others were moving. "Code Red! We're compromised!" Sirens wailed. Gunfire erupted as Echo Team burst from the woods. Drones flew overhead. One crashed into a searchlight, exploding in sparks. Grayson emerged from the SUV, pistol drawn, fury etched into his face. "I want that dog dead!" Doyle sprinted toward Oliver's position, dodging bullets. "Get the crate! Rex, go!" Rex charged forward, through smoke, fire, and flashlights, and lunged at a guard attempting to burn the crate. Teeth sunk deep. The man screamed. Oliver dragged the crate out. "It's heavy." "I've got it," Doyle growled, grabbing one side. "Back to the van." Suddenly, a gunshot. Doyle fell to his knees. "Captain!" Blood seeped through Doyle's shoulder. He winced, pushing the crate into the van. "Go, Oliver!" "But get it to the drop point. This evidence, it ends Grayson. Don't let me down." Tears filled Oliver's eyes. "You're not dying here. We're a team." Before Doyle could argue, Rex pressed himself against the captain, keeping pressure on the wound, whimpering but refusing to leave. Oliver hesitated, then jumped into the driver's seat. The van roared to life. As he sped away, he saw Grayson through the mirror, face twisted in rage, firing shot after shot at the sky. But Oliver was gone, with the truth in the back seat. Hours later, at a hidden location, Oliver delivered the crate to a federal task force. Agents with sharp suits and sharper eyes began reviewing the data. It was damning. Grayson's network would fall. And yet, as Oliver waited outside, holding Rex close, a tall woman approached. "You did well," she said softly. "Who are you?" She smiled. "Captain Doyle's sister. He sent me the signal before the op. He always knew if he didn't make it out, you would." Oliver's eyes widened. The woman handed him a sealed envelope. "He wrote this in case he couldn't tell you himself." Oliver opened it. Inside, a photo of him, Rex, and Doyle by the fireplace. And a note. "This isn't the end, Oliver. It's the beginning. Take care of Rex. There's more to uncover, and I believe in you." A week had passed since the night of the ambush. The story had made headlines. Corrupt cop ring exposed in midnight raid. Young boy and rescue dog helped dismantle criminal network. But for Oliver, the headlines didn't matter. He sat in the hospital room, his eyes fixed on the man in the bed. Captain Jacob Doyle, alive, barely. The bullet had missed his heart, but the damage was done. Doyle was unconscious when the agents extracted him hours later. He hadn't spoken since. Oliver sat beside him every day. Rex, ever loyal, never left his side. Until today. Sunlight filtered through the blinds. Rex suddenly lifted his head, ears perked. Then, he barked. Oliver jolted. "What is it, boy?" Doyle groaned. His eyes fluttered open. "Rex?" Tears welled in Oliver's eyes. "You're awake!" Doyle blinked, looking from Oliver to Rex. "You made it out." "You made it out too," Oliver whispered. "Barely." Doyle smiled faintly. "Takes more than Grayson to finish me." In the following days, the pieces began to fall into place. The evidence Oliver delivered had taken down Grayson and his entire network. Hundreds of files, names, money trails, even recordings from Rex's camera. The final proof of the dog's loyalty and training. But justice wasn't without cost. Doyle could no longer remain in public. Too many enemies. Too much attention. "I have to disappear again," he told Oliver one evening as they sat by a quiet river. Oliver's heart dropped. "But I just got you back." "You've got Rex," Doyle said, resting a hand on the boy's shoulder. "And a world that needs people like you." Oliver looked down at the dog beside him. Strong, brave, still carrying the scars of his past. "I'm not ready," Oliver whispered. Doyle smiled. "You are. You were the day you reached out to help a wounded dog in an alley. That's what heroes do." Weeks later, Oliver stood in front of a crowd at a school assembly. Cameras flashed. Reporters waited. He cleared his throat. "I didn't do anything special," he said. "I just listened to someone who couldn't speak. Rex taught me that loyalty means standing by those you love, even when it's hard." The crowd fell silent. Rex barked once, tail wagging. Oliver looked at the medal they'd given him, the Civic Bravery Star. He didn't care about the medal. He cared about the future. Somewhere far beyond the hills, a cabin sat in silence. A man stood at the window watching the sunset. Captain Doyle. A newspaper sat on the table. Boy and dog inspire National Animal Rescue Initiative. The man smiled, then whispered, "That's my boy.